Former Governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai, may have withdrawn his interest in becoming a minister in the Bola Tinubu's cabinet based on the screening process and the non-confirmation of his candidacy. And tonight, we also scrutinize the approach of President Bola Tinubu in the affairs of ECOWAS and in the push to put pressure on the military junta in Niger Republic. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale in Abuja this Friday. It's been a wet day in Abuja, the nation's capital, but some of the major issues is not slipping off our feet, and we're holding them tight and getting to dissect them tonight. So let's get started, everyone. We're going to be dissecting what has become a major issue in the APC. Malam Nasir El-Rufai may have withdrawn his interest in becoming a minister in the Bola Tinubu cabinet because of the non-confirmation that have emerged. Some of the story that we'll be telling you tonight and how that is spanning out the politics in the APC. Of course, we'll also be getting to speak with a member of the National Assembly on some of the decision of President Bola Tinubu and the state of the nation and how the man at the helm of affairs is piloting the affairs of this great nation. Stick around with me, everyone. It promises to be yet another very interesting conversation tonight on the program. Before we get into the mix of things, let's get to watch some of your stories coming across the state in our political roundup.
Former governor of Bauchi State, Issa Juguda, has urged President Bola Tinubu to tackle insecurity and corruption as a means of attracting foreign investment into the country. The former governor said this after leading the Board of Trustees of the APC Professionals Forum on a visit to the president at the presidential villa. Malam Juguda also emphasized the need to sanitize the banking and financial service industries.
We have a lot of toxic assets in AMCON. AMCON itself is another, maybe it requires another AMCON, as we are being told. So the financial service industry, if they were doing well, they wouldn't pile up trillions of naira in toxic assets.
Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State has received a report of the Technical Transition Committee, saddled with the responsibility of reviewing its development plan, tagged My Bauchi Project, for the next 4 years. The document is in 3 volumes, and it highlights 7 key areas of priority for the next 4 years and basic areas for immediate implementation in the first quarter. Governor Mohammed acknowledges the fact that the time is limited, and it will kickstart the implementation process immediately.
In coming up with a robust plan of implementation, we will definitely appoint an implementation committee that will comprise a chairman that will be versatile and highly experienced in development planning.
And in Enugu State, Governor Peter Mba has sworn in 20 commissioners that will constitute the State Executive Council. Addressing the commissioners, Governor Mba charged them to get to work immediately, as there is need for all the appointees to take delivery of campaign promises seriously. Mr. Mba also seized the occasion to reiterate his commitment to the exponential growth, provision of socio-economic infrastructure, and human capital development in the state.
In about 100 days from now, they want to turn their tap and see water flowing from those taps. They want to also make sure we promise them, so they're expectant.
Also in Adamawa State, Governor Umaru Fintiri has sworn in 23 new commissioners into the State Executive Council. Speaking at the ceremony held at the Government House in Yola, the state capital, Governor Fintiri notes that his administration is set to execute the second phase of its development agenda, which is aimed at uplifting the living standards of the people. The governor charged the new commissioners to initiate laudable programs in their various ministries that will bring development to the state.
I urge you all of you to come on board with a desirable winning attitude, ingenuity, and deep insight in handling every situation.
Governor Yahaya Bello of Kogi State is assuring the people of the state that his administration will continue to provide the dividend of democracy to the last day of his tenure in office. Governor Bello stated this in Lokoja, the state capital, when he received members of the Social Democratic Party who were defecting from the party to the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, ahead of the November 11 governorship election.
I know you are going to be more determined to prove that you're not a walkover. It is only opportunity you needed to showcase your talents, your sagacity, and everything that you're made of. So that opportunity has been given to you.
Barely a week after the state chairman and secretary of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, in Niger State resigned their position, the deputy chairman of the state chapter of the party, Abdulsalam Madaki, has also resigned. Mr. Madaki, in an interview with Channels Television, says his resignation is personal as he was not pressurized to do so. Meanwhile, a member of the party who would not like his identity disclosed told Channels Television that several members of the state executive of the party are expected to also resign their position under the directive of the governor. According to him, these people are believed to have worked against the present governor, Umaru Bago, during the primary election held on 26 May 2022.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. Let's get started with our very first conversation. It's about the state of the nation and the manner of approach of President Bola Tinubu in steering the affairs of this country. One major issue that was grabbing the headlines yesterday was the decision of ECOWAS leaders mounting pressure on the coup leaders in Niger Republic to get out of the fray and allow us a civil engagement to allow a democratically elected process or leadership in the country. So this has gotten a lot of Nigerians talking about the manner in which some of these leaders, including our own president, who is the leader of ECOWAS, is handling the situation. Let's get talking. A lot of issues are up for conversation today. I'm being joined by a member of the opposition in the National Assembly, Senator Abdul Ningi. He's a federal lawmaker representing Bauchi State, a member of the People's Democratic Party in the National Assembly. Thank you so much indeed, Senator, for joining us
tonight. Thank you for having me, Sean.
So your recess has started.
That started, yeah, it has started.
I understand that some of you and your colleagues have gone on oversight functions.
I was in Niger Delta for the last 4 days. I just came back this morning. Yeah.
But what about your recess allowance? Has that reached your mailbox?
Not yet.
As promised?
Not yet. I haven't seen anything yet.
I understand that some of you and some of your colleagues are already receiving 2 million naira.
Yeah, I heard about it, but for me, I didn't get anything.
You've not gotten the alert, or your account officer has not confirmed it for you?
Nothing came to my account yet. So I heard that some people got 2 million naira, and for me, nothing yet. Hopefully, when they tidy up things, maybe.
Maybe you need to see the clerk so that you can, maybe your account number is not correct or something is happening to your account.
Possibly, but I'm not yet to see anything on my account.
Oh, you need to tell your lawyer to pursue it for you.
I don't need lawyer for that. I actually don't need lawyer for that.
But the Senate President has promised you so that your recess is going to be a fruitful and an enjoyable one, so that you can enjoy your recess. That's what the Senate President said.
Yeah, I had the Senate President, but I was there. I didn't hear him say that. But later on, in Delta, I was in Bayelsa, when I heard that, he said something like that. That caught me off guard because it's something that's unprecedented. But he has said what he has said. So there is nothing anybody can do about what he has said. But what I assume, what I know, what I've been used to, some of these things, if they happen actually, you don't just broadcast it the way he broadcasted it. And I can tell you, I've been in the National Assembly, this is my 5th term, so I know how things are done. He has said it, he has said it. Yeah.
For some Nigerians who feel scandalized about that, and how do you react to that kind of statement? What do you think it portends for the National Assembly?
I think it's a huge embarrassment to the Senate President as a person and to the institution of the National Assembly. The Senate President should have gone further to say these allowances are for what? And how did he came across the allowances? Who gave the allowances? Is it part of the remuneration? Like I can tell you, since I became senator, I had issues with my account. I have not gotten a kobo into my account yet. So, but I move on because at the end of the day, I know when they tidy up my account and other members, things naturally flow like that. So it begs a lot of question as to where this money is coming from.
You don't wonder why some Nigerians are outraged by that statement.
I know people are really very, very bitter about the statement and about the intention, because it relates to people as if this is just a pocket money given by the Senate President to senators. And believe me, I find that really difficult to also take.
What's the money about for? Or what's the purpose of the money?
Well, he said it in the video. I said that for recess, I mean for holiday. I don't know what 2 million naira will do for holiday. I find very difficult to understand what this money is.
Do you senators usually get money for holidays, for recess?
Not at all. You have your own remuneration. You have your own salary. You have your own. I understand
you have allowances.
I understand they have not paid salaries. So if it is salary, why would you even mention it? If it is allowances, why would you even mention it? So it is difficult until probably we come back for one to understand where is this money coming from and what is it for. If it is something that I was entitled or were entitled to and it has not been paid, we're almost 3 to 4 months into the National Assembly. A lot of people have not even collected their allowances yet. I can guarantee you that.
Senator, when some Nigerians feel that the lawmakers are a breed of Nigerians that are overfed, overtaken care of, and maybe overprivileged compared to other lawmakers across the globe, and compared to the citizens who have been graded in a country where we are tagged as one of the poverty capital of the world, and this kind of situation where lawmakers have been seen to be the highest paid lawmakers in the world, does it make you and your colleagues look good?
I'm not sure it is a fact that we're the highest lawmakers. What are the parameters? Who are the second highest lawmakers in the world? Who are the third? These are all insinuations. There are a lot of people. Let me just tell you.
Facts that have been
part of the problem we have.
Just for a moment, so that you can be able to lay proper foundation.
Yeah.
And these are conversations that some of us have had over the years about the take-home, the salaries, the emolument, the allowances. It's not in the salary. We understand that some of the lawmakers are earning just about what a professor in a university may be earning. But the devil is in the details. The allowances are where the issues are. And those who believe, and you are being in the National Assembly,
yeah.
I mean, if you want to clear these to Nigerians, how much does a lawmaker even take home?
How much is the allowances? And how much is the lawmaker getting? When I was there...
You get newspaper allowances? Tell us what do you get?
When I was there, I take nothing less than 3 to 4 million naira.
Every month?
Every month as a lawmaker. Putting everything together. I don't know what has changed.
This was about 8 years ago? The last time?
8 years ago.
So it's a long time.
Yeah, you see the historical...
So things have changed.
Yeah, the historical thing about a lawmaker being... Because we're actually naked before the public. If you compare what a lawmaker gets and what he spends on his constituency, on his constituent, vis-a-vis what a governor gets and what a minister gets, it is unimaginable.
But you are being paid to run your constituency.
Exactly.
Your constituent office.
And that's been the issue.
Even some people have said that they get the money for constituency office, but they don't spend it. They don't even have a physical constituency
and that's why you see repercussion of that. That is why you see the level of return of the senators is actually over 70, 80%. Because if a lawmaker gets this thing and he doesn't go to his constituencies, because, hey, this is a new world. It's a global thing. Everyone now understands what you go, what you get, what you now must bring home. So if you don't do it, it is only a matter of 3.5 years. And your
experts will say that Nigeria is bleeding on the cost of what it takes to run government, the cost of feeding, running the National Assembly.
How much is the budget of the country? And what is the percentage of that so-called bleeding? What is the percentage? The National Assembly is getting nothing less, almost 3 to 5% of the entire national budget. And here you come, you say the experts are telling Nigerians that the nation bleeds because of the National Assembly. That is a huge, huge lie. They fail to understand what happened in the executive, what happened in the judiciary, the corruption in the executive, the corruption in the judiciary. All they centered about is a lawmaker because he's naked, he's seen. He's seen other people are...
There are 109 of you in the red chamber.
Yeah.
There are 360 of you,
yeah.
I mean, of your colleagues in the lower chamber.
Yeah.
There's just about 500 or thereabout lawmakers. And you are being serviced with that kind of amount of money, and you think that in itself is not too much
when you,
for a country where an average citizen is said not to be able to feed
that is the error of judgment a lot of you people are doing, including those so-called experts. How many staff do you think I have in my office?
How many?
I have 6 officially given by the National Assembly.
They are being paid by the nation.
But they are being paid by the nation. And then I have another 6 that have to pay from those allowances. It is those monies plus the so-called paid by the nation that a lot of Nigerians are making a calculation. Now, right now, you have just calculated 469, and then you divide by whatever goes to the National Assembly. Is that fair?
I mean, it is one thing that is very critical here, Senator. We are before the Nigerian people, over 200 million of them.
Exactly.
The question is, it's not about Senator Ningi, is it? It's about the institution and whether or not Nigeria can carry the burden. Nigeria, do we have what it takes to be able to service a 2-parliament national assembly, a 2-tier of the National Assembly? Can we service it? Do we have what it takes? Where an average citizen cannot even feed with $1 a day, and we have senators who are being serviced with such an amount. That is the question.
Unfortunately, because you are not making a balanced argument. Where you have a senator like me, I've been there for how many months now? I don't have a card to use. But what about our minister that he just confirmed yesterday? Tomorrow, he goes with a convoy of 11 vehicles, and nobody says anything. And he carries almost 20 to 38. Nobody says anything. This is not somebody that is actually...
It's part of what we're talking about, Senator.
No.
Whether or not the cost of governance...
No, if you do it across the board...
You are going to get a new vehicle, wouldn't you?
Did I get? Am I getting?
You would
How do you now expect me to...
Senator, you would
How do you expect me to function?
Wouldn't you?
How do you expect me to function now for the last 3 months?
60 billion or so is what we hear that's going to be budgeted to fund the purchase of vehicle for lawmakers.
Have you been to... When last did you go to the National Assembly?
I've been there recently.
How did you see the condition of the National Assembly? Is it something that is worthy? Renovation. Is it something that worthy of even a National Assembly member to be there? Today, I'm in my office. I furnish it myself. I repair the waterworks. I repair the electricity, all from my pocket, because I should be able to sit down and work. And it is almost impossible now for anybody to go to National Assembly and work.
It's not a shame of a situation where we have a nation that has a revenue problem, yet we have the cost of governance in the state at the national level at that scale. Is it not a shame of a situation?
If you make that argument, I'll be home with it. But if you isolate just the National Assembly...
Because you are part of it, so you're not happy about it.
The National Assembly is not my home.
But you are part of it.
But it's an unfair proposition.
Presently, it's your office. You spend a lot of time there.
Even if I was away from the National Assembly, I have always said it's an unfair proposition. Because you have tailored the mind of average Nigerian not to look other sectors, but just to look at the National Assembly and state assemblies. You don't care what happens in the Gamma House. You don't care what happens in the villa.
We do.
No.
And we ask them questions about the manner in which they run their office.
You hardly invite them.
We do. We ask them the
invite them to come here.
No, we do.
Rarely. You rarely do that.
We do very much.
Do that.
We speak with governors. We speak with members of the night.
You just read the issue of the National Assembly causing the nation to bleed. I say, what a percentage of the budget? What percentage of the budget? Less than 5% of the budget.
If you have your way and the manner in which things are going in the country, would you cut down how the National Assembly is being presently structured?
The issue for me, Sean, seriously speaking, is not about the National Assembly. I can say that the government is so big, but the issue is corruption. 70% of this augmented revenues that come for the nation is actually stolen away. Like I said, you saw me in Niger Delta yesterday, and you saw what you have experienced. So it is stupid stealing of the resources, not
on
paying,
a massive scale.
not paying remuneration to members of the National Assembly. The corruption is mind-boggling. And once you cannot be able to reduce it to a minimal level, then you continue to have this problem.
Let me take you to asking, did the President Tinubu ask the National Assembly for military intervention, permission for military intervention in Niger?
First of all, he has the right to ask, but the Constitution has stipulated some conditions. First of all, for him to ask the Nigerian armed forces to go into a war, there needs to be a joint sitting, not only to the Senate, but the National Assembly.
Was there a request from the President?
There was no request. He just sent us a letter enumerating what is happening with ECOWAS. And we saw it, and we read it, and we told him point blank, the war is off the table. Deal with other issues, and we even commended him. And we went right out to say, coup is not something that one should negotiate or we are comfortable with. There's nothing under the table or above the table that should attract coup. Because when you say coup, you mean the government, the aggrandizement of just very few, 3, 4, 5 people that come down to do coup. And we said there are always alternatives where a democracy actually functions. After 4 years election, before 4 years impeachment. So there are a lot of grounds.
Senator, you are a northern leader.
Yeah.
There is seems to be some kind of intervention coming from the northern elite and northern leaders about this particular matter.
Yeah.
And it gives some kind of worry to them in the manner in which they have intervened in this matter. Does that give you the kind of worry, and why?
It does. First of all, I'm the chairman of the Northern Senators Forum. First of all, look at the history. The history of our relationship between Nigeria and Niger. It dates back centuries ago. We are almost one people. Only that the colonialists just drew a map arbitrarily. Secondly, in Africa, there are no better allies than the Niger Republic. Look at all the resolutions from the UN, from AU, from Interparliamentary Union, all the resolutions that Nigeria followed. That is where Niger goes. And remember, Niger is a francophone African country. And they are the closest to us. We share the same language, share the same religion, share the same culture. We've almost done everything. Those 7 and 8 local governments across Nigeria, you can't even differentiate between Nigerian and Niger.
So this is personal to the northern leaders?
No, it's Nigeria. Those local governments are in Nigeria. And let me tell you, the cornerstone of Nigerian foreign policy is Africa. That means our interest is Africa. And therefore, for you to go to war, not only to Niger, against Niger, to any African country, you need to sit down and think.
Do you have a feeling that President Tinubu is making some missteps in this direction?
I don't want to call them mistakes. I thought they are rushing. I thought the ECOWAS are rushing.
Let me give you an instance. Yeah. There is some sanctions that have been imposed, and Nigeria is directly involved. Electricity supply to Niger, largely from Nigeria,
70% of it
has been switched off.
Yeah.
A no-fly zone towards Niger has also been declared. There's some other economic sanctions, trade and commerce within Nigeria territory and Niger that has also been imposed. These are seen as form of aggression and an act of war. Don't you think that this is also part of what some of the northern leaders see as some kind of missteps?
Quite a number. Like number one, it has historical antecedent. You know our dam. You know the river that flows from Niger through Mali to Nigeria. It was an agreement that was reached between Nigerian government and Niger as far back as 1963. We supply you with electricity even though we are going to pay, but in place of that, you must not dam this water that comes to Shiroro. That was an agreement. I thought the ECOWAS should have known that. I thought President Bola Tinubu should have known that it was an agreement. Now, cut off their light. What if they dam their water? What will you do?
It's going to be a problem.
It's going to be a problem. And then they trade between northern Nigeria and Niger. It is only in Niger, Sharon, I can tell you, that Naira is a legal tender. In the whole world, only in Niger.
Outside of Nigeria?
Outside of Nigeria, that will go and give them Naira. And they'll collect it. And I say, it will affect the entire...
So if you, as a leader of the Northern Senators Forum, what would you be telling President Tinubu tonight?
Carry a white son and take cognizance of our historical ties. The ECOWAS that are pushing you have nothing to lose.
I mean, your colleague, Senator Ojikalu, made a video and said that this is the handwriting and this is the hand of the West in this. And if they want to do anything, that the West should come themselves, that we should not follow in the footsteps of the West. Do you agree with him?
Precisely. What are we saying? Right now, the U.S. has 1,500 soldiers right now inside Niger. Even though Niger said French soldiers should leave, they're there. The Russians are coming, they're there. Why are they using us? Why are they using Nigeria? You remember?
You think Nigeria is looking like a puppet in the hands of these...
you remember, the same Western nations that predicted that there will be no 2011, Nigeria will disappear. And they came to predict in 2015, there will be no Nigeria. And they also predicted in 2019. So it is in their interest that we will go to war. When you go to war, what is that intention? What they get in uranium, what they get in Niger is uranium. They get it free of charge. And they sell their arms, showing there are several ways of dealing with these coup plotters. And one of them was just mentioned, the economic embargo. And then other things that will not say in the national tribune. To deal with those coup plotters, there are so many ways. You remember, there was a coup plot against a president, Joaquin Obasanjo, from Cape Verde. He came to Nigeria.
1K.
He came to Nigeria.
He was in Nigeria for almost a year or so.
Before
he went back to Nigeria.
That was the one. President Obasanjo put him on the plane and went to the same country and installed him back. There are a lot of ways to deal with it.
On a final note, Senator, let me ask you about the screening process. What is the real reason why El-Rufai was not confirmed?
I can tell you for free, the National Assembly, the Senate, we don't have any problem with El-Rufai. As far as I'm personally aware and I'm concerned, El-Rufai is a superstar in APC. One of the, you can have your differences with El-Rufai in terms of what he does, but it's a shining star.
But he said he has withdrawn. Do you think that is a big loss for the Tinubu cabinet?
I thought it was a big loss. If you look at his achievement in the past, look at what he has done in FCT, look at what he has done in Kaduna. You cannot just push that man just away. He's an achiever. He may have some problems with the way he does things, but I see him as a superstar, and nothing in my imagination should have pushed him away from getting cleared. That's my personal opinion.
Senator Abdul-Ningi, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure having you on the program. Thank you so much. I appreciate your coming today. Thank you so much. Senator Abdul-Ningi, Senator from Bauchi State, thank you so much indeed for coming on tonight.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, let's get some kind of insight also into part of what Senator Ningi said. I'm being joined by the presidential candidate of the YPP in the 2023 election, Mr. Malik Ado Ibrahim. He joins us virtually from Turkey. Thank you so much, Mr. Ibrahim, for joining us. Give us your insight into what is going on. You've got a lot of knowledge about military intervention, military operations, but when ECOWAS says, get ECOWAS standby force to stand by to restore order in Niger, what do you interpret that as? It seems your device is muted.
I muted myself.
Oh, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, very well. Please go ahead.
Okay. I was just saying that it's very unfortunate that we're in this position as a country that has just come through a democratic process, and we've achieved great strides. Ours are not, even our democracy is not cleared, and we're about to go and threaten our neighbor. I think it's an ill-advised move. I think that we're in a position where Nigeria should be showing leadership of a different kind. I think our president, my president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, kind of projected himself, unfortunately, too early. He strategized too early, and by threatening your neighbor before dialogue and negotiation, I think that was an unfortunate misstep. And we have to unwind from that position, and that's the unfortunate reality on the ground today. But with ECOWAS putting pressure, our president should not yield. We've got unanimous decisions from the Senate, from the general populace of Nigeria, that we should not go to war with Niger. And let's not forget that Niger was one of the only countries that supported us during the Civil War, and even General Gowon, one of his first moves after the war was ended was to go to Niger and thank the people of Niger for their support of Nigeria at the time. But we are far away from a war. We need, Churchill said, we know, rather than I think it's frightfully important that we don't make that mistake. We can't afford.
Would you describe, Mr. Ado Ibrahim, some of the steps that have been taken so far as a form of aggression or an art of war?
Well, you know, when you threaten somebody saying, if you don't do this, I'm coming to do that, that's tantamount to a declaration. We have since tried to find a way to back down from it. But, you know, those that are pushing military intervention are really not the kinds of leaders that should even be doing such things. And we're talking about countries like Cote d'Ivoire, whose president is now trying to force a third term. In his country, I could hardly say he's got a democracy like Nigeria has. Is it a president of Togo who's taken over from his father and been president since, pushing war on us? Nigeria is the power of ECOWAS. ECOWAS has no teeth without Nigeria. And we don't need to go and threaten our neighbors. So in our forefathers, in the setting up of Nigeria, said we should not go to war with our neighbors, big or small. And we must remain with that tradition in mind. Nigerians are not our enemy. We have one man that was president of Niger that's unfortunately held ransom to a coup. A coup is definitely a step backwards for Africa. But to go and fight at our neighbor, I mean, the only country that has done that is Ukraine and Russia, and look at what's going on. It's a step that is, we just cannot afford it financially. We can't put our men and women that are fighting such a war for us in danger. We can't afford to be killing Nigerians and Nigerians. We can't afford it economically. We don't have the financial tools to be able to execute a war. And we shouldn't be led into putting up our men and women that are in every state in this nation, in the army, policing this country, and you want to divert their attention to stage even a show of strength would be the wrong thing. Nigeria needs to work on Nigeria's problems. We're 90 days into a new term. Our military is just finding its feet. We've got some amazing service chiefs now that have come on board that have to know what we have. And one really troubling part of what I'm seeing is that our president, my president, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, does not have a military man at his side, somebody that will give him advice, and to really probably would advise that this is a misadventure. I'm pleading with our president and to all northern leaders and Nigerians in general to seek our audience with the president and advise him that we're not at war with the Nigerian people. We may not like what's going on, but we are not at war with the Nigerian people.
I'd like to get your view for someone also who has a lot of knowledge on international relations. We're seeing what is happening in the West, and it looks like the big boys on that continent are flexing muscles. You see what is happening within Ukraine and Russia, and what NATO and that engagement could have caused that region. You see what is happening in the Middle East, or what has happened in the Middle East, the Pakistani-Israeli relationship, the Arab-Israel relationship, and the conflict that we have seen around the world in a regional form. What lesson can we learn? Because it looks so much that Nigeria has had its own share of a regional conflict that has snowballed into an internal unrest in our nation. The banditry and the Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria. There are those who will say you cannot take away the regional unrest in our borders to these.
Well, the first mistake we would make is to think that Niger is some foreign land to us. That's our neighbor. We've struggled with the IDPs from the Northeast and what it's done to our nation. You've got people in Borno that have displaced all the way down to Lagos. If we make the mistake of thinking that that's an isolated incident to attack our neighbor at our border, 2 million people displaced coming through our borders into Nigeria will find their way all the way to the Atlantic. We can't afford it. We can hardly afford the 230 odd million people that we have and give them peace of mind. We can't afford the fuel that we're paying. The price of electricity is astronomical. The dollar against the pound is 1,200. I mean, we're doing things now that are in territories that this country has never experienced. Going to even threatening war would certainly be a sort of a kamikaze move for our economy. I just don't know where the advice is coming from to my president. All I can say is that, look, we need all hands on deck to fix Nigeria. We don't need to be fixing the issues of Niger. The war, if there is one, should not be one that Nigeria has been reluctantly pushed into. We cannot fight proxy wars for France. Pushing us to go fight France's war is not an issue. Every African country that has Francophone involvement has not detached the umbilical cord of colonialism from France.
All right. Let me extract this from you quickly before we wrap this up. You call it a kamikaze movement. It does look like a shuffling with the legs and you trying to dodge a body movement. It's almost impossible. I mean, when you shuffle with your legs in a movement that you describe as a kamikaze kind of movement, that it has its implication. If you are President Tinubu today and you are in the saddle, Mr. Ado Ibrahim, what would you do?
Well, first of all, I think that I would seek the advice of the military. If I'm not, we don't have a national security advisor that is a military man, and unfortunately so, but I'm sure he's got good advisors. But, I would seek that advice to say, what are we prepared to do? Do we have a staging area? Do we have the men? Do we have the tools? Do we have the capacity? Do we have the equipment? And then do we have the funds to do this? Secondly, I would execute as many opportunities to dialogue with the junta in Niger and give them an ultimatum of going back to the democratic process. Let's not forget. Look, General Abdul Salam, was able to transition into a democracy 24 years ago. He did that in 11 months, and we're still enjoying that democracy today. So we shouldn't be afraid of pushing a democratic process with time limits, giving them time to settle down and make this thing work for the Nigerian people and for the good of the West African region.
Malik Ado Ibrahim, thank you so much for your intervention tonight. I appreciate your thoughts and the perspectives that you've given. We're going on a short break, everyone, but when we return, we will be focusing on the internal affairs of the APC. What will the El-Rufai withdrawer as a member of Tinubu's cabinet? What are the implications? We'll be finding out from someone who knows so much about the internal affairs of the party after this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. Let's get back to one of our top stories tonight, and it's about the story that we have been following about the ministerial screening process. And now we understand, coming from inner sources close to a former governor of Kaduna State, that El-Rufai has confirmed that he has withdrawn his interest in being part of President Bola Tinubu's cabinet. The former governor was one of the 48 ministerial nominees screened by the Senate, but his nomination did not get the approval of the lawmakers. According to the Senate, this is due to several petitions against the former. Precisely, they said it was due to security report. Malam El-Rufai reportedly told the president that he was no longer interested in becoming a minister, but would continue to contribute his quota to the development of Nigeria as a private citizen. He also explained that to the president that he needed time to focus on his doctorate degree program at the university in the Netherlands. It was gathered also that the former governor suggested a new ministerial nominee would serve as commissioner in 3 ministries in Kaduna State while he was governor. Tonight I'm being joined by a former national chairmanship aspirant of the APC and is the Jagaban Jimeta, Mr. Sonny Monidafe. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me. Good evening.
I appreciate it.
Abuja.
For someone like Nasir El-Rufai, who came in the forefront fighting for Bola Tinubu within the governors forum, what do you think could be the implication of his stance today?
Before I even say that, I want to appeal to El-Rufai to please have a rethink, and then Mr. President Bola Tinubu to call him back. We need him. Like him or not, El-Rufai is an achiever. Now, I remember when we were to commence this issue of convention last year. Before then even, there was this issue of some cabal in the presidency trying to do things that will shoot down the interests of the Southern president. In this case, now Bola Tinubu. And El-Rufai came out and said, look, we'll not accept it. I remember seeing a clip somewhere where he said, at the point that it happened, they had an issue with Bola Tinubu, president, but he put it aside and made sure that he joined the, I think, 23 APC governors who declared that they needed a Southern man to become the president. Because 8 years of the president from the north was not ideal. He pushed for that. And then he pushed for the various zoning issues, which some people didn't like. I remember when, if you recollect, the day of the convention, some papers carried the story, the fact that the Northeast, the development, the Northern National Development, the Deputy National Chairman North was zoned to the Northwest. Some people said it was zoned to the Northeast. There was confusion because of so many things. But one of the things that happened was, El-Rufai said, look, since the inception of the APC, the DNC has always come from the Northwest. Governor Masari first, Senator Lawali Shaibu next. This time around, they want to change it. Later I heard that he was trying to curtail the moves of the cabal in the presidency. They gave the DNC to Northeast, and then he came out. And then he put his foot down and said, look, these things are happening, we won't accept it. He walked tooth and nail to ensure that the Tinubu came on board. So
there are those who say that without El-Rufai, Tinubu will
I will agree to that.
The candidate of the APC.
Yes, there's good there, but Tinubu, El-Rufai played a very, very important role.
But again,
then the issue of
you agree?
Subsidy, the issue of the money policy that Emefiele brought up. El-Rufai took Emefiele to court.
Three of them. Matawale, Ayabelo, and himself.
So, I mean, let's accept it, because I know in the kind of president's election the kind of situation we have in this country now, if the president nominates somebody, it's has never happened unless something very, very serious for the Senate not to accept it. So I want to appeal to the Senate to please accept it if we need him.
But again, Senate will say, it is a security report which they cannot look away from. A senator from Kogi State, Sunday Karimi, came up, stood up and said he has an envelope filled with petitions against the former governor. Now, there are those who will say there is nothing behind all of that, that the real reason behind El-Rufai not being confirmed is political. Do you agree?
I agree with that, because who is Karimi from Kogi State?
It's not him that has a petition. There are petitions that have been sent to
Was he the chairman of the Appeals Petitions Committee? It was a scheme that was being worked out. Now, I don't want to know about that one. We need El-Rufai in this country because he has the ability to achieve things. He did it in the FCT. Till today, they're talking about him. They call him Rousseau, person that destroys, but he worked. He did it in Kaduna. I've been to Kaduna recently. Fantastic work he did. Not everybody will be happy, but we need El-Rufai in this current situation, because somebody who can make things happen. And I prefer a known figure than an unknown group that will become a cabal in future. Who pursue.
So, but do you think that El-Rufai, you are a politician, do you think that El-Rufai feel politically humiliated and embarrassed by the situation?
I won't be surprised if he feels, because there's no need for all these things. He knows it. There's no need for all these things.
On the fact that on several occasions, there are about 2 occasions one can lay credence to, he was one of those that the President Tinubu, when he went to Chatham House in London, that he asked to answer questions on his behalf. He had actually in public also had said, pleaded with him and said, look, promise me that you will work with me.
Yeah.
So in that regard, what do you think could have gone wrong? And we understand that Mr. El-Rufai and a few others have been paying almost a daily visit to the villa.
I don't think he'll go to the villa without being invited. They must have been having some talks going on. And right now, put those things aside, I think the president should please appeal to El-Rufai to come out. We need him as a nation. Now, I'm somebody who believes in God. Trying to say that somebody is so important might look somehow, but from a human perspective right now, we need somebody like El-Rufai. Smallish, they call him giant when he was ABU. An achiever. He speaks very well. He has facts at his fingertips. We should please put aside everything and get him to be in the cabinet. We need to move on, because you can see the kind of overwhelming issues we have in this country right now. 2020, COVID, now Russian war, and then this Niger, so many things happening. Somebody that will calm things down and get things working.
SSM, let me ask you this. The issue here is the fear in the APC is that El-Rufai's body language and his stance at the moment has implication, political implication. The former governors form a bloc, and powerful one at that, and they are being serviced presently by this president. You have a Matawale, you have a Simon Lalong in that cabinet, you have a Yunsom Wike. They form a bloc in this government, and they were powerful enough to be able to accept their position and their stance to make sure that Bola Tinubu gets a ticket. There are those who say his stance means a lot and it could backfire. What political implication do you think it has on this government, on the performance of Bola Tinubu, and the chances of Bola Tinubu if he wants to seek election?
Chief, I don't think you're being fair to me, because you have these facts. I will speak as an ordinary person, because I see it from outside. All I want to know is, let's have the right people. I know.
I mean, you've said that, but I'm going back to a question that has already, and the reason why I invited you is because of your knowledge. The internal politics of APC, you have it at your fingertips. And the question is that there are implications for every action and inaction. And those who say, if El-Rufai feels hurt and humiliated, that the kind of El-Rufai they know and the kind of power and influence that he possesses, that it has an implication, politically speaking.
They're giving him too much importance, relevance. All we want as Nigerians is a person that will come in and make a difference. If anybody feels that way, to some extent, people feel that way about me. I'm a very outspoken person. I speak my mind. I say it as it is. And I think to some extent, El-Rufai is like me. Well, what am I saying? We're not being hypocritical. We're speaking the truth. If people are now having those issues with El-Rufai from amongst his colleagues, I'll be surprised. At the same time, not surprised, because if you know what you are supposed to do, you shouldn't be scared about anybody challenging you. Accept it. If anybody has that feeling, then he has a lot of low self-esteem. I'm sorry to use some of these words, because truly, as Nigerians, we need an El-Rufai who will come out and tell the president, Mr. President, this is the way to go, let's follow it, because we are tired of people that just come and dance to the tune of whatever I said. We don't want that one. So I don't want to know about the governors or whatever. El-Rufai, Nasir El-Rufai, should be appealed to come into the cabinet, and let's get this country working again.
What if the Senate say that the security report does not come favorably?
The Senate cannot do what the president does not agree to. If the president says, I want him, they will do it.
Are you saying they are puppets?
I'm not saying anything, Shehu. I'm saying that, for example, permit me, now he has been confirmed already, so we can't even do anything about it. Somebody from one of the states in the north gave a certificate showing only 2 credits to get into university. It was cleared. Let's not go into that one. But the fact is that some of these people that shouldn't have been cleared have been cleared. To his credit, I'm sure you know the person. You know him, don't you? So let's not put him aside.
But his own defense is that he has other certificates, or only that he didn't include them.
You won't hear from me. You won't hear from me. But somebody of that caliber was approved, nominated and screened and cleared. We need El-Rufai to please accept and come. Let's make Nigeria better. I left my estate now. The light has been up and down. It's really not right. And then you want to run a generator, fuel is 600 naira per litre. This is when I will come in and get things working. El-Rufai is one of such. We don't want people to just come and say, yes, Mr. President, if you jump, how high? No. Mr. President, I think ABCD, with facts, in an articulate manner. I appeal to El-Rufai, if you are hearing me, please accept it and let's save this country. Because we need to save it.
On a final note, being in government is not enough to effect a change. You need a political prowess to be able to, and the political will to be able to make things happen. And there are those who believe that Bola Tinubu has that. But being a president is more technical than a lot of people know. The villa is one of the most difficult places to be in, to steady affairs of a nation that is highly diverse as Nigeria. If you were, as a party member, you need a very strong administrator to be able to handle politics side of things in the APC. What do you think? How do you think your party can manage things?
Let me tell you one thing about President Bola Tinubu. In the ACN years, we used to call him the last man standing, because he withstood the tricks of President Obasanjo then. After the 1999 to 2003 term, he told the Southwest governors that he needed their support, and that they succumbed. Only Bola did not. Out of that one Lagos state, we were able to now get 6 states by which we now join APC. Yeah. 6 states. So now, the same Bola is there. He has what it takes. But he needs somebody who is there to tell him the truth once in a while. I'm sorry. I'm saying a lot of debate
about El-Rufai. There are those who even say that Bola Tinubu does not even want him.
Well, I don't know about that one, but he called him. The day they had this meeting in Kaduna, you saw it. El-Rufai organized it, but he even refused to sit on a high table. He was sitting down among the crowd. It was Bola Tinubu that asked him to come to the platform and tell him that he will work with him. Shey will need him.
Sylvester, Sonny Monidafe, thank you so much. The Jagaban Jimeta, thank you so much. A man with many parts from Delta State and also from Adamawa State.
My father was from Delta and from Adamawa State. And I'm the Omeziri Ndigbo of Nigeria, Ndigbo. The Ohanese youth, give me that title. I'm a Nigerian.
Thank you so much for coming on tonight. A former APC National Chairmanship aspirant. Thank you so much indeed, Sonny Monidafe, for your time tonight. That's our show for today. I'll see you again on Sunday at 8 p.m. I'm Sean Kimale. God bless Nigeria.